So this is workshop number 2, and we are going to be talking about creating your peak performance week or your perfect week. If you are going through in order, you will find out that some of the videos, it says module 1 and it's not actually module 1. That's because I added this module, which kind of threw off the videos I'd recorded before. But this is a very, very important module, and based on feedback, I've added it to my program. Because when you are planning your week, you want to be able to visualize the perfect week where everything went perfectly well and you got everything accomplished that you wanted to accomplish. And when you kind of lay out what that perfect week or that peak performance week would look like, it gives you something to aim for. It also makes it a lot easier to plan your week because you kind of have a template, and you know that it's, Tuesday from 2 till 3 you're going to be doing invoicing, or you know that you have a recurring meeting. And so it just, instead of having to completely plan your week from scratch every week, you can say, oh, that's when I should be doing my top 3 tasks. I'm going to those are the 3 critical tasks for this week, and you can slot those in. So I have this template. If you pull up your worksheets for workshop 2, you will find a template that looks like this. This is just my kind of example one, but there's a blank one. This one that we're going to be talking about has the time periods in big chunks, kind of 3-hour chunks. If you are someone who really likes to plan your week hour by hour, there's also a template in there that you can use to plan your week in a lot more detail. But for most of us, planning in, early in the morning, mid-morning, lunchtime, early afternoon, late afternoon should be enough for you to create a peak performance week. So the first thing that you need to do is, if you haven't addressed procrastinating, that needs to be the first thing that you address, because there's no point going through this exercise and creating a perfect plan for your perfect week and then not sticking to it because you've not overcome procrastination. So go back to workshop 1 and complete that module first, and then come back to this. And what you need to do is you need to look at when your most productive time of the day is. For most people, the first 90 minutes of your day is the most productive time. But if you work in operations, if you're dealing with technicians early in the morning, that may not be when you get your critical tasks completed. And then you need to look at your day and you need to say, okay, I know that between 10:30 and 12 every day is a quieter period. I am going to schedule out that time to get my priorities done. It may be that you can only schedule 30 minutes or an hour. I always talk about, your power hour, just because it sounds cool. If you can't utilize the first 90 minutes of your day, you need to schedule a power hour every day to get critical tasks done. You also, if you're working towards a big goal, you need to be able to spend more time working on tasks that will get you closer to that goal. A power hour is great for that. And then you need to look at the other times during the day when you are more motivated. In this example, I've just colored everything green for when you're motivated, dark green for super motivated, light green for less motivated, orange for kind of, and red for not very motivated. So you'll, this is just very generic, but you will create yours. So you need to decide your most productive times when you're going to get those critical tasks done, and then when you're more motivated. Are you more motivated in the morning? Is it after lunch? Is it just before you go home? Identify those times. And then when you've done that in general for the day, you need to look at your week. Are there certain days of the week when you're more motivated, and certain days or certain times of the day or certain days that you are less motivated? Because you don't want to schedule those really difficult jobs or things that you don't enjoy for times when you're not, very motivated, because you'll find something else to do. So when you've kind of segmented your week and you've identified, your really motivated times, your less motivated times, then you need to identify the recurring tasks. So I've listed them, there's space for you to list them here. That's where you need to go through all the things. There's certain tasks that you're going to do every day. And sometimes you'll do them multiple times a day, but what are those recurring tasks? So look at the things that you do each day, maybe every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, certain things that you have to do each week. And then you also need to look maybe at tasks that happen less frequently, other things that you have to do each month, or maybe certain things that you have to do a couple of times a year, like an audit, stock take, evaluations. Nobody likes to do evaluations. So figure out when would be the best time to do that. And then what you will do by doing that, you will be able to slot in certain tasks. So if you know that every day you have to schedule jobs, you can set aside a time in, maybe one of your early morning green times when you feel motivated. If scheduling jobs is the most critical thing you do, schedule it for one of those times. If you're in sales and you know that you need more customers, you know that making those sales calls is the most important thing, so you would schedule those ideally early in the morning. And you're just going to create this perfect week, your peak performance week. If everything went great, when would you complete everything? And it gives you a roadmap, it gives you something to aim for. And then when you sit down and do your planning for the week, if it's on a Friday afternoon, which is what I always encourage, sit down, do your mind flush. Instead of having to create your week from scratch, you can go, okay, so I know that coming up next week I have these 3 critical tasks that I have to get done. I'm going to schedule those for my power hour or for the first 90 minutes of my day on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so I can get them done. Then I know that I always make my sales calls from 10 till 11 every day. I know that I schedule my meetings for in the afternoons. You don't have to start from scratch. You just slot into your peak performance week. And then what you need to do is every week when you go through, just slot in, new tasks that come up. Because if you're realistic, sometimes it feels like every week is different, but really they follow a very similar plan. If you're in operations, you may want to schedule time here to deal with emergencies, to deal with unexpected tasks. You may decide that every day from 9 until 11 you're going to have that space wide open with nothing in particular planned, so that you can deal with whatever emergencies came up in the morning. Then if no emergencies come up, you would just pick one of your tasks from here and slot it into that time. So the most important thing is when you've taken the time to create this peak performance week, post it somewhere, because then if you have a day where you get completely off track, you can look up at your peak performance week and say, wow, it's Wednesday at 2 o'clock. I haven't accomplished anything that I planned to do on Wednesday. What did I think I should be doing on a Wednesday afternoon based on my peak performance week? And it'll just be a good visual way to keep you on track. Because if you don't have a vision that you're aiming for, if you don't have a goal, it's very easy to get off track. But if your peak performance week is right in front of you all the time, you know what you should be doing ideally at that time of day on that particular week, then it gives you something to work towards. So good luck, and remember, you can create the best schedule in the world, but if you don't stick to it, it's just a waste of time. So focus on taking steps to not procrastinate and stick to your plan or your schedule, whether you like it or not, because once you get started on that task, you'll create the motivation and you'll get back on schedule.